Hey, party people, what is up? Dr. Lauren Duroy coming back at you. And today I have a very special episode just for you all. Today I am bringing in Aleiah Kennedy. She is a rock star health coach. She is somebody who, when she first came to me, did not have anybody in our program. And I think, Aleiah, I think you're still the only one in the program who is not medically trained, being a nurse or practitioner or physician who's in the Institute for Functional Nurses. But when she came to me, I saw instantly that she's a rock star. Honestly, she kind of broke down a lot of the bias that I had about other practitioners being in the field because, ladies and gentlemen, this woman gets results. Somebody say results for her students. She's absolutely phenomenal. She's a student in our functional medicine course. And she has been absolutely blowing it away. Like, just she's an inspiration in the group itself. And she is a Foods, Whole Foods certified coach, health coach, and she's also a certified chef. So without further ado, please help me welcome to the stage Aleiah Kennedy.
Thank you. And
You
thank you
are
for
so
having
welcome,
me.
sister. I am so honored to be interviewing right now, and I know that you're going to bring some amazing nuggets to the show to share with everybody. So first, just give me a little bit of background on what prompted you to be where you're at now, and what, like, starting your own business. Take me through that, like how that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. So my husband was diagnosed in 2018 with multiple sclerosis.
Mm,
And we went, obviously we went the conventional route at first. We went to all the doctors, had all the tests. But when it came time to actually take the medication, like something just didn't sit right in our gut and in our
mm,
soul, both my husband and I. We both felt the same exact way. So we knew that there had to be another route, a better route. God didn't create us to live that lifestyle. Like he did not create us
mm.
to live.
Amen.
He wants us to live abundantly. And so we
Mm,
knew that taking a medication for the rest of his life was not God's route per se. The neurologist actually told us that this particular medication that he was going to prescribe him had a 40% success rate, and the main side effect was cancer. So why would he take a medication when the odds aren't even in his favor at 40%, and he might end up with cancer? I mean, it makes no sense. So what I had done, I have a cousin who changed her diet and lifestyle 20 years ago. She was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she did not take any medications. She completely reversed her illness through diet and lifestyle. So she's the
mm,
first person that it's amazing. So she's the first person that I thought of and that I reached out to.
mm,
And she helped me. Like we did not do baby steps in this transition. We duck dove into this lifestyle.
mm,
We cold turkey hardcore 100% knew that
mhm.
if he wanted to heal, if he wanted to live, a prosperous lifestyle from this point on, we were going to have to make major changes. And we were
Mm.
both willing to do that. So that's what we did. We reached out to her and she kind of helped and guided us. And I ended up in a program with Dr. Popper. I don't know if you're familiar with her, Dr. Pam Popper, but she kind of helped us as well. We signed up with her and she helped us in the transition. And within probably 3 months, like we could notice a significant difference in my husband. So whenever he was first diagnosed, he was really unable to walk. He was so frail, so fragile, had lost all of his weight, lost all of his muscle mass. And this is the man that worked out 3, 4 times a week. He did CrossFit 3, 4 times a week. I mean, he was very fit.
Mhm.
Um, and to watch him dwindle away into just such a fragile man
Mhm.
that couldn't even stand up.
Mm.
And I was pregnant at the
Mm.
time, and
Oh my
he
gosh.
he was so, I mean, he was just so heartbroken. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand up and hold my baby. because he was so unstable, his equilibrium, like he didn't have strength, all of the things. So, and then he would just lay on the couch and just fatigued and tired. It was awful. But like I said, within 3 months of diet and lifestyle change, we saw significant difference. So he went back to work. He started working out again, does CrossFit 3 times a week. He works 5 days a week, 12-hour days now. Like he
Woo!
lives a very normal life, a very normal life. So it just goes to show that what you put in, on, and around your body matter.
Mm-hmm.
And we are self-healing machines.
Mm-hmm.
God designed our
Mm-hmm.
bodies to be self-healing. So
Mm-hmm.
thank God, and it's so amazing to watch the transformation and know that it's possible
Yeah.
with knowledge and information.
Mm-hmm.
That's the issue in our culture. Like stuff like this is not common knowledge.
Mm-hmm. It's
Um,
not. Yeah, it's really
no.
not. Yeah.
So after I watched his transformation, I kind of was like, okay, something's off here. Why are so many people in our culture on medications? Why are so many people in our culture sick?
Mm-hmm.
Something is not right. So I went down the medical corruption rabbit hole, very hardcore, and, and I learned so many things. And one of those things being about John Rockefeller basically hijacking the medical system in the early 1900s. So prior to the early 1900s, our medical system here in America was holistic. It was natural remedies, plants, things of the earth, that God created. But John Rockefeller in the early 1900s, his dynasty, his family is in the oil industry. So he figured out a way to make medications, because you can't patent nature. You can't make money off
Mm-hmm.
of nature.
Yeah.
So what they did was they extracted the properties, the healing properties of the plants, to create a pharmaceutical in the lab, synthetic, that
Mm-hmm.
mimic the properties, but also have a bunch of side effects. But he could profit off of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, his family has so much money. What they did was they offered these medical schools in America grants and an incentive if you will stop the holistic measures and teaching um, the holistic measures and start teaching about my medications. I'll give you money. I'll give you grant money. I'll fund you.
Hmm.
But if you don't go away from these natural teachings and start teaching about my medications, I'm not giving you any money.
Huh.
So yeah, it's very corrupt, and all of this can be found on Google. It's very real information. It's um, sickening, and it's scary. So to know that our medical systems in America were once 100% holistic and natural, but it was hijacked by John D. Rockefeller in the
Yeah.
early 1900s for profit. So these people that are sick in our culture it's a for-profit industry, guys. The medical system is a for-profit industry. They do not make money off of dead people. They do not make money off of well people. They make money off of sick people. So they are dependent on us being sick for their profit.
Yeah. And that's so I've not looked into that myself. I've never even heard that before. So I will be kind of doing my own research on that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Having been medical. So Aaliyah, whenever Aaliyah first came to me, I thought, I don't know if we're the right fit for one another because we're very integrative and in our programs and our, we do kind of a balance between. However, I think that almost anybody in even working in whether you are doing functional or integrative practitioners or practice at all, most all of us see a lot of corruption that Western medicine has, even past just what you shared with us. And I'm going to be looking into that and seeing that myself because I've never learned that before.
Yeah, that's what I
There
teach in
is there
the
is
first 7 courses. Sorry, the first 7 courses in my online program is about medical corruption, because I really want my clients to understand what the medical system is. And I'm not completely against medication. Let me just make that, and let me clarify that. If
hmm
I do think there is a time and a place
hmm
for some medicines, as widely used as it is, obviously.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
and I'm not against the medical system. If I'm in a car wreck and I have a broken arm, like, take me to a doctor. I want to go to the
Hmm.
hospital. But
Hmm.
I think for
Hmm.
day-to-day health,
Yeah.
just day-to-day health, it's way
Yeah.
it's just way taken over,
Yeah.
honestly. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's why the first 7 courses in my program are about medical corruption. I want my clients to really understand, day-to-day health, you should not have to see a
Yeah.
medical doctor,
Yeah. Well, and let me just kind of add in there that, especially like from the practitioner side, because I would hear stuff like that and I would think, because there's a lot of misperception, not that you're not sharing this, but a lot of people are where, you know, nurse practitioners, physicians, you get a kickback from the medicines and those kind of things. And that's not true. A lot of the things that we have been taught, I can't help but think, because I know that if I've learned the stuff that I've learned in functional medicine and holistic, I know that the powers to be also know this. If
Mhm,
I've had crazy testimonies, like which I have with my patients, that Aaliyah is sharing, and I've had with my own health and IBS, anxiety, and depression, if I've had those transformations, you've had those transformations, other people have had those transformations, you know that the conventional model knows about all of these things.
mhm.
And there
Oh
is
yeah.
reason why it's not being like whenever first time I heard
Oh
somebody say, "Do you think it could be a parasite?" Or that's what they said. And I
yeah.
said, "Yeah, right. If that were true, I would have learned about it in my medical training.
Yes.
I went to
Yeah.
school for
Yep.
8 years, technically
Yeah.
more than that because I have 3 degrees, but for my medical training, you can say 8 years total." And I'm like, and now I'm just like, they know, but it's
I know.
because of money.
Money.
And so it's not necessarily,
Exactly
it's
right.
not the providers, the nurses.
It's
I mean,
not. No.
we've
Yes.
not been exposed to this.
Yeah.
And just like
Yeah.
you said, I think it's a very important thing where there is a time and place for medicine. Like
Hmm.
working in the ICU, when somebody is literally crashing and dying, like
Hmm.
you have to have ICU.
Absolutely. Yeah,
But why
for
don't
sure.
we start working towards having less people get to that
Yes.
point? Like
That's
people
it.
can even
That's it.
pass in the end of their life
That's it.
and not have all these comorbidities and literally
Yeah.
just, you know,
That's it.
pass
Yeah,
on.
that
You don't have
exactly.
to have all of these diseases throughout your life that you're battling while you're alive.
Yes.
And the other part of it is that sometimes I always want to make this a point just because from a personal standpoint and somebody who went from completely traditional medicine to, doing conventional medicine. And I've always had, since I've been a provider, always had interest in like health and wellness, right? Like
Mhm.
exercise, diet, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
healthy diet, not dieting, but healthy diet.
Yes.
Um, there's a lot of patients out there who they're just not interested in it. And for
Yeah.
them, a pill is giving them the lifestyle they want. And the trade-off is that they don't
Yeah.
have to do the work and
Yeah.
they at least get to live longer.
Yeah.
So for each their own, nobody's here to judge. But you're absolutely right. There's so much corruption. So I'm excited that you like every time I speak with her, y'all, I learned something. I mean, this woman is just like incredible. I'm telling you. So I love that your husband's story is just miraculous. So then you launched your own business based off of your passion for this. Somebody say
Yes.
passion. That's why like in our train. So Aaliyah's she's in Passion to Profit with us, and we're gonna talk about her conversion and going high ticket and all of those things, going from being free to high ticket. Somebody say high ticket. But you know, that transition though to becoming a business owner, what was that
Mhm.
like for you? Did you have any thoughts like the enemy came and attacked you and said, like, why you shouldn't be doing this or fears?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. When you're taking people's life and health into your hands, that's a big
Hmm. Yeah.
responsibility, and there's a lot of conflicting thoughts that come with that territory. So for sure, like I for a long time, and maybe still even now to a degree, not so much now, but you know how the enemy will come in
Yeah.
moments and attack, and then I just kind of have to deflect. But kind of like imposter syndrome. You know,
Hmm.
I feel like that sometimes. Like, am I even worthy of doing this? Am I educated enough to do this? Even though I know that I am, and it's shown with all the
Hmm.
clients that I've had over the last few
Right.
years.
Yeah.
Like, they all get results. Like, I know what I'm doing is I'm worthy to be in this space.
Yeah.
Uh, but definitely the enemy does come and just periodically, and it's like you you're not educated enough to do this. Like, you're not. you're not a nurse, you don't have, all these degrees, so you're not,
Mhm.
nobody's really going to believe you, or,
Mm.
it's stuff like that. But I'm a firm believer in, you don't necessarily have to have like a formal education or formal degree
Mhm.
and I used to believe that. Like, I used to think that
Mhm.
because I came from the dental field, and if somebody that was trying to give dental advice that didn't have the dental degree, I was like, you really don't know what you're talking about because you didn't go to school. But I was so wrong in that thought. I was
Mm.
so wrong in that thought, because self-education is 100% a thing. I mean,
Mhm.
you can educate yourself pretty well,
Yeah.
especially with all the resources we have now.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's what I've gone through. And that's what whenever you came to me, I was like, no, you don't really know. I'm just gonna be honest with you.
No, I
Guys, like I've learned a
completely
lot.
understand that thought process. I understand it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there is, like, having gone through like your degree in dental and, our degrees, saying ours, like most of the people watching this and
Yeah.
listening are nurses or
Yeah.
practitioners. There is a level of excellence and a level of, you know what I mean? Like you get, like people get, it's like, it's a value. And that one thing that I can say about the medical field, the dental field, is that it's done really well at keeping kind of high standards of getting people in there who
Mhm.
are educated and are they're not educated yet, but I'm saying like they're able to apply, like because it's competitive,
Yeah.
you do have a different level of standards
Mhm.
and the evidence-based. I just wish that the evidence-based wasn't so biased, right? Like I wish that it wasn't so biased because
Yeah.
a lot of things only get accepted if other people want it to be published.
Yeah.
But if
That's
that
exactly right.
level of like that's one thing that it's done well at is that
Mhm.
it does have a different level of excellence there. But you're absolutely right. And I think we're honestly in a society where we have to do some self-educating. One thing that I never thought I would share with my kids a lot, and my oldest son is at that intellectual level, he's 7, where we can talk about these things. I say, you always respect authority and you always respect elders, but you also always have your own mind about you because
Yes.
there's a lot of people with agendas that you don't
Yes.
realize have agendas. And you do
Yes.
your own research and you
Yeah.
just make sure
Yeah.
that that makes logical sense and
Yeah.
that it's
We
true. And just because an authority or a large figure has,
Mhm.
an answer and they say that this is the way and this is the only way doesn't necessarily mean they're correct.
Mhm. No,
And
then
to
they
check.
usually have
Mhm.
agendas. The
Yeah.
reason that they're hurting all of the people in one direction, there's a
Mhm.
reason for that.
Yeah.
There's 100% a reason. And yeah, so one of the things that I always tell people, because when you're trying to learn about health and wellness, like you said earlier, the studies are often biased. They can be bought, paid
Mhm.
for, funded. Um, there's always conflicting studies.
There
Like,
is.
you can find a study that agrees with your opinion. I can
Mhm.
find a study that agrees with my opinion.
It's
And
true. Yeah.
it makes people so confused. And what
Yeah.
happens when people are confused? They usually are just like, well, forget it. Like, I'm not going, it's not worth putting
Mhm.
in that much time.
Confused
I'm not going to,
mind doesn't buy.
that's exactly right. That's
Like,
exactly
there's
right.
there's a little marketing tactic for y'all.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
not making
Yep.
sales and you want to, it's probably because people are confused. But anyhow, go
They're
ahead.
confused.
Off
Yeah.
topic, but yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So, this is what I always tell people, like, go for the more observational study, like, observe what the healthier populations are doing, observe what the more successful people are doing,
Mhm.
and do that,
Mhm.
rather than exhaust yourself trying to find this study, that study, blah blah blah,
Mhm.
and be aggravated and confused and end up giving up ultimately. Like, just do observational studies. And that's what I teach my clients is observational studies. The way that I teach them to eat is inspired by the healthiest population in the world, and that
Mhm.
can be observed. And that's
Mhm.
Okinawa, Japan. They have the longest lifespan, the lowest disease rate.
Mhm.
So we're going to do what they're doing.
Yeah, right.
Rather than waste our time on study this, study that, study this, study that, we're just going to do what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Success leaves clues. And by success, I think you meant successful in their health, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
figured. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. Yeah. So I want to bring you back to the imposter syndrome real fast because I think that that is it's so funny because I have providers who come to me and they're like, I don't think I'm qualified yet. I'm like, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I'm just gonna say, like, you don't even have to have like you are already qualified. You have to have the knowledge. And whenever you have a medical license and a nursing license, you do have to adhere to different things. And it's actually more difficult for us to navigate because of that, which we won't get into that too much here today. But there is just kind of different things you have to do to protect your license, those type of things. And you have to kind of play by the rules a little bit more. It's not totally fair, but you do. And, with like state lines, those type of things. But but people come to me, I'm like, technically, so in the convention, so technically, you don't have to have a functional medicine. Like, you don't have to go through our course and finish it in order to start practicing functional medicine. If you have the prescriptive authority to diagnose, treat, or labs, those type of things. If you're a health coach, it's a little bit different of a scenario, what you can do legally and can't do. But you really only need the certificate to prove that, hey, like, I do know what I'm talking about, and I'm not like practicing outside of something that I don't know. Like, I have gone through a CE course. Like, as a provider, we have to do that in order to protect our license, and that we're practicing good evidence based. But that's what we have to do personally. But technically, you're already qualified to do all of the things. So I even have providers who have their master's or their doctorate, and they come to me and they're like, "But I just don't feel like I don't feel like
Yeah.
I'm good." And I'm like, "You're already seeing patients. You're already treating and diagnosing people." So what we learn from that is that the enemy is everywhere.
Yeah.
And, Lee and we could really go down a rabbit hole with y'all on this, on how much the enemy is in big food, is in big
Mm,
uh,
yeah.
PHAMR. I can't say it because I don't want my views to go down. But what I'm you're kind of you gotta be careful about that because AI
Yeah.
is real these days.
Yeah.
But there is like the enemy is really in that. And I need to probably do a podcast on that coming because I really want to share that message a lot more. I know God has called me to do that a lot more, but
Yeah.
the enemy is real in it,
Good
and he's going to stop us
information.
anyway. And that imposter syndrome is one of the ways he's going to stop us from sharing this message because he's keeping people sick. He's keeping
Yeah.
people, he's keeping families divided, like people on
Yeah.
medications and they're having
Oh,
side effects, brain fog, not able to, have
for sure.
emotions anymore. I mean, there's so many things.
Yeah. And a message that I share a lot is does God care what you eat? And does God care how you live? And the answer to that is yes, he cares. Because
Yeah.
if you are, we'll just use a husband, for example, the husband typically is the breadwinner for most families. And if the husband is eating his way into disease and he can no longer work and provide, God
Hmm.
cares.
Hmm.
Or if he dies from a
Yeah.
preventable illness and he
Yeah.
stands before God in heaven, and God's like, I had so much more for you to do, but you couldn't put down the little
Mm-hmm.
Debbie's and the Pepsi. You've left your wife and
Mm.
your children on earth because you could not put down the Pepsi and the cupcakes. That's not pleasing. It's not pleasing. God 100% cares. He put us on this earth to live life abundantly. And if you are on tons of medications and you're chronically fatigued and you're overweight, like you're not living abundantly. You don't even have mental clarity. Yeah.
You don't even know what you're missing out until you like
Yeah.
step into that different world. That's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
And Aaliyah, like oh girl, you just spoke to the Lord to me. He has
I
been
just got chills.
well, and so one of my, I'm not trying to make this about me, but one of my projects that I know that the Lord has it on my heart, because I see connections, like that's kind of a gift that I have, is seeing connections there between functional medicine and the Bible. And the Lord has put on my heart to write another book called A Temple Unto Him. And your temple is your body.
Yes.
And so many teachings in the Bible, one like the Lord tells us already that we're supposed to be following the protocols in holistic and functional interventions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, who knew? Right? God knew. Like, that's one of my keynotes that I speak is, who knew? God knew. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's all in there. And we don't even see it. And then, we see the evil in alcoholism or drug abuse because it's so much more of a blatant thing. It's not near as subtle. But here's the thing, guys. Read in Genesis, who is the most subtle of all the animals, of all the creatures? I think is what it's creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Satan, the serpent. The most subtle is the worst impact. Like you can see how you need to get off alcoholism, right? Whenever we have a diagnosis like multiple sclerosis, like we see how we have to make changes now.
Mhm.
But those subtle things are what people die of and what just root away. Like you're saying, like the relationships.
Yeah.
Mm,
And
preach.
it's ironic. Think about this. Is it ironic that the medical symbol has two snakes on it? Have you noticed that?
I know this because you pointed it out. And I'm like, I don't
I'm
know.
just saying.
I don't know. Maybe that's coincidence. Like,
Maybe so, but it is very
I know that is, you have pointed that out to me. And I thought, I don't know. I don't know. That is something else though. That is,
yep. And then let me pull up this. You can talk about something else for a second if you want, because I'm going to pull this up really quick and read it.
okay. Oh gosh. Oh no. Here we come, y'all. So, one thing I do want to point out about Aaliyah, because I follow her on, obviously she's one of my clients, so I follow her, support her on all of her posts and things that I can, but also because she's really hard not to support because she's authentic. Like somebody say authentic. One of the biggest things about imposter syndrome that holds people back is we hide behind like I've got to have the next degree. I've got to have the next thing. You don't need any permission to start your own business. There's legitimately no like if you are in the United States of America at least, and obviously many other countries, but when we're broadcasting right here, like you don't need any permission for this. Like you can start right now. And the thing is you're going to start out feeling completely lost, scared, incompetent, like you shouldn't be there. We all feel that way. As a matter of fact, I think it's a good thing. It means that you are aware that, hey, I am human and I can mess up. And that's awesome sauce because that's going to protect you from doing something really, really bad and harming somebody in some way. But the good thing about functional integrative, it's kind of hard to hurt somebody because
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You're not like prescribing medication that has serious
Yeah.
contraindications or side effects or interactions or anything like that. But we're going to have all of those thoughts. But the thing is that it isn't education. It isn't a degree. It isn't like that $200,000 piece of paper back there behind me. It isn't that that's going to give you clarity. You get clarity from action. Like somebody say action.
Yes. Yes.
Clarity comes from action. When you first started on the program, Aaliyah, how did you feel?
I was overwhelmed and nervous and scared, excited. I was all the things. But I love it. Like I have such peace about it now, and I've learned so much. I honestly like it's the best decision I've made.
Oh, well, thank you. That is very
So
sweet.
glad.
I meant more
So
along.
glad.
I love that. Thank you. I was meaning more along the lines of what like did you total when you first started taking action? Let me just kind of reframe it here.
Oh,
Like
I
one like
see. I see.
but no, I
Yeah.
appreciate that for sure. But when you first started taking action, like did you
Mhm.
did you have more clarity? Like could you see it all or understand it all before you took the action versus after? Like did it start making more sense after action?
Um, yes, yeah, I had to take action for sure. I couldn't, I don't, I'm not really good at like envisioning things. Like
Mm.
I'm very much a winger. So I have to take action and then figure it all out.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, and that's so
Yep.
funny because I've had people before, they're like, "I don't still understand that." I'm just like, "You haven't done anything yet.
You just have to do it.
You have
Like
to
you just
do
have to do
it.
it. Yes,
You
that's
have to
exactly
do it
how
to
I am.
understand it." Business
Yeah.
building and business life is just a totally different perspective. I feel
Yeah.
like majority of us, if not all of everyone that I've worked with and myself, learning about health, wellness, medicine, all those things came very natural and I understood like I don't know, like I knew how to learn it. I knew how to implement, like it made more sense. But even then, even after I graduated and got that degree, I still didn't feel totally prepared until I took
Yeah.
action,
Yeah.
both in my bachelor's, my nursing
Yes.
degree, and in my doctorate for my practitioners. And it wasn't until action. And I noticed that in you and being a student in our course. She's a functional student and she's also in our high level passion to profit, which we got to talk about high ticket here in a minute. Like we've got to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that's been life changing. But whenever I lost myself. But I remember like seeing you as a student and you would like we would like go over a training together. No, this is don't take this back.
No,
Everybody does this. Myself
yeah.
included. Everybody does
No
this.
offense. No
We would
offense.
go through a training and then she would ask a question, be like, what's X, Y, and Z thing? I'm like, it's the thing that we just the training over that you were like, oh yeah. And I was like, the thing that you've already done. And she was like, oh, you already mean, but it took her taking action. Like she didn't totally understand what she was doing yet. She just
Yeah.
literally, like, you are coachable. That's the biggest thing why you've had such, you just like, okay, she told me to do this. I'm going to do it.
I'm just
You
gonna
told me
do
to do
it.
this. I'm going to do it. And that's what you've done. And
Yeah.
you didn't,
Go in blindly. It's fine to go in
yes.
blindly. Just do it.
And I think you not having like, are you not being in the like, oh, wrapped into the whole world of brainwash where you have to like get all the next degrees in order to be like, I think that that helps you a lot because you gave yourself permission. Whereas
Yeah.
most of us who come from the medical background, we're like boards and certifications and
Yeah.
quizzes, all that has to have to give
Yeah.
us the certification. And I think it's a fine line because we
Mhm.
all know that there's also a lot of people who are self-taught out there who are spreading horrible misinformation.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line, between, and that's why I think it's the individual, right? And that's what
Yeah.
I always
And
say coming back.
discernment. I feel like people have to have discernment for
Yes.
sure. Especially in
Yeah.
this field, in this
Yeah.
industry, like you have to have that discernment because you can really get off on the wrong track and go down the wrong road because
Yeah.
like you said, there are so many people who are spreading just false information
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
dangerous information.
On both sides. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm crunching ice in
Yes.
the mic. It's not cool.
Um, yeah, on
On
both
both
sides for
sides.
sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In conventional world and, wellness world, like
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Functional medicine, there's also a lot in functional medicine too. So, right. So that's why like we do evidence-based up to 5 years, but we try really hard to not use anything that's biased in
Yeah.
our judgment or information. And there was another point in there that you brought up that I just absolutely loved. Um, but yeah, I think you have to be care what was it you just said? The last thing you just said that brought something for me.
Discernment.
Discernment. Yes. You
The
talked about
discernment.
discernment and and the way that I was going to word it is just, and y'all have heard me say this 100 times, but this transformation and thought has changed me. So I bring it up in everything, wanting to do right and not be right. And like a balance, I think I think it's awesome what you said, like discernment. Like, does this sound hoaxy? Does this sound
Hmm.
biased? You're like having that discernment and
Hmm.
then taking action on things, imperfect action, like just go for it, learning, and then did that work or did it not? Like being
Hmm.
unbiased to you having the right outcome. Oh yeah, I knew that what I was going to say or do was going to be right. Like I think that
Yeah.
that's, I mean, I feel like that right there, like that combination, what we just
Yeah.
shared. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of awesome. Like I think that's kind of life
Yeah.
changing. If people have that mindset more often, I think that we would have, because especially in the conventional world, we get very much defensive
Yes.
and, like I have the degree, so I
Yeah.
know.
And I witnessed that a lot when I first started this.
Mhm.
There were a lot of practitioners and medical professionals that I have on my Facebook who felt that way. They were like, "Well, you don't have a degree. You don't know what you're talking about." So I think that's probably one of the reasons why, which I didn't let it really get to me because
Mhm.
I knew in my heart of hearts that what I was doing was correct. Like I had the discernment. I knew that I knew.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, and I think that's one of the reasons that I still struggle a little bit with imposter syndrome because I'm like, I'm not, you don't have a degree, you don't have this, you don't have that. But that doesn't make the things that I say any less true.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just everybody has, like we were saying, how every patient has a different approach to their care, what they want. People are different. Some people are like, I don't want medicine at all. And some people are like, I don't want health foods at all.
Yeah.
Like, because, so I think that like we're all in this world together to make a better, more positive impact, or we should be, right? Not everyone is, I guess, but in this world we are. And
Mhm.
as long as we just keep that, and knowing that both sides are going to have their positives, both sides are going to have their negatives, and
Yeah.
keeping our mind open to evolving with that. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
What was it you were going to share? Did you find what it is you were going to share with us?
Oh, yes, it did. Okay, so going back to we were talking about the medical symbol with the snakes. So
Hmm.
in Revelation Revelation 18:23 is, "For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived." The Greek word for sorcery is pharmakeia, and pharmakeia is derived from the word pharmacy. Sorry, pharmacy was derived from pharmakeia, which is the Greek translation of sorcery. And in Revelation, it says, "For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived." And I think that is.
Oh. So we are going to, I might bring you back for another podcast because I
That's
mean,
just a little nugget. I just wanted to throw
well,
that out there because it's good
let's just say
information.
that it's to be announced, guys, that Lee and I are going to come back and I'm going to share just a touch. I'm going to touch on this and then we're going to move on. But we're going to come back to this later. Um, Whenever it comes to revelations, like that's a whole nother hour. So we're not going to open that can of worms, but we're going to like crack it open. Um, I will tell you that there's a lot of deception right now, and I think that end times are very, very. Oh, I think the medical and oh, girl, I did not make that connection before, and I'm like, okay, how do I say this without? I will just say that there's a lot of things that the medical field is doing right now, publicly and nationally, that is really harming people, and we are posing it as good and healthy.
Yeah.
And
And I think,
it's not. And
yeah,
it's more than food, it's more than I mean, like this whole skewing of the lines is horrible, and I didn't know that because that we're gonna talk. I see a lot. Oh my goodness, I can't even like, oh, I don't even know how to I did not know I was gonna be hit with that. Um, we're gonna talk off the record here in a little bit, and then we're going to come back to the record and share with everybody else because I think we're going to align quite a well with this. But yeah, no, there's a
yeah,
lot of things that
yeah.
the
And I
medical
think
industry I think is
2020,
playing a part in end times. I'm
oh,
just gonna
for
say
sure.
that.
There's no doubt. And I think 2020 and COVID opened up a lot of people's eyes, even in the
Mhm.
medical, even
Did
in the medical
it
field,
did?
because a lot
Yeah.
of the people, like I said earlier, when I first started, and there was a lot of medical professionals that were kind of coming at me like, "You're not a nurse, you don't know what you're talking about, you need to just be quiet." I actually, there are a couple of those same people that now are asking me for advice.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but I have grace with those
Mhm.
people because I understand
Mhm.
that, that, like you said earlier, it's kind of like they heard you all in a certain way, in one way thinking, one way track,
Mhm.
thought process, and it's kind of hard to get out of that.
Mhm.
Um, so you just have to have grace. You have to have
Yeah.
grace and
Yeah.
try to educate people as best you can.
Yeah. Grace and the other one said you have to be humble because like the first time, like I said, the first time a patient said, "Do you think that my thyroid disease can be from from a parasite?" I said,
No.
"Oh, I know I mentally rolled my eyes. I don't think I physically rolled my eyes." And now I'm like, "Oh, like I did a reel on Instagram. It didn't go viral, but I was like, it should have because my so much passion was in this reel where it was like, like run, like in part of it, the reel, it says run. And it was like me reading a functional book and it says, I shared about how like trying to find all the patients that I had all of these light bulb moments go off and I started
Yeah.
learning functional medicine. I'm like, that's why that patient was like that. That's why that medication
Yeah.
didn't work. That's why this isn't working for them. That's why they kept on getting sicker. And I was like, man, I wish I could remember each one of them and know a way. Like I can't reach out to them,
Yes.
right? Like I can't take patient
Yeah.
information with me or anything like that.
Yeah.
Wishing that I could
Yeah.
like go back in time and be like, oh, I can fix you. I
Yeah.
can fix you. And like
Yeah.
that reel did not go super viral like it should
Yeah.
have because I'm like, that's
Yeah.
the most like real to my
Oh,
heart reel that I
yes. You'll have to
REAL
repost it.
REL that I've ever made in my
Maybe
life.
maybe you
Oh,
could just
okay. So
repost it.
let's talk about high ticket for a second.
Yes.
What was like that? What was it like? Okay, share with everybody what you thought whenever I said, "Hey, like you need to raise your prices. Like you need to get to at
Oh
least the
God.
3K range."
Oh my gosh. I couldn't
What
believe
did
it.
you tell me? I remember what you told me. What did
I
you
could
think?
well, I don't know exactly what I said, but I was like, nobody's gonna pay that. Nobody's gonna pay $3,000 or $5,000 or so. Like, who just pay? Who does that? Who has that kind of money? Um, so I really didn't. I mean, I knew that it would work for some people, and I knew that it has worked for some people, but I didn't think it would work for me.
Yeah.
personally. So that's why I had such trouble
Everybody does,
raising
but
that
I see.
price. It took me a while. It took me a while to actually take action in that and raise my price. And I'm a very take action type of person. If
Yeah.
you tell me to do something, like, I'm going to do it. But when it came to that, I was so hesitant. It took me a while to actually raise the price. I
And by
could not
guy,
do
a while, she means like 6 weeks. And maybe it was 2 months. I don't know.
it. I think it was around 2 months.
Too
Yeah.
much. Yeah, not still not very long, to be honest.
No. Yeah.
A lot of, a lot of people. Well, one thing they don't like, you took some massive action. Like you were a lot like me when I first learned how to do all this stuff. Like it showed you told me I did, or you told me
Yeah.
I did that same
Yeah.
thing, and that's why like a couple months in, I had my first few thousand coming in, which it took me
Yeah.
in the MLM world. Blah, I used to be MLM. It took
Yeah.
me a year and a half to reach $2,000 a month. Like, and
Yeah.
then it happened for me in the first 3 weeks, right? I don't know, guys. Whatever I said in the very first beginning, I never wrote that down, but it was like 3 weeks, something like that. And it was because I just, like as you said, like just okay, coachable, like just
Do
do the thing. Just
it.
tell
Just
me
do
I
the
do.
dang
Tell me
thing.
I do.
Yeah.
And yeah. So it took you kind of a while, but not that
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. So I think March 1st is when I actually announced that my prices were raised. As of March 1st, I was
Hmm.
doing the high ticket, and I just got my first high ticket 2 weeks ago. So that was what, the end of March? Was that the end of March? So
Hmm.
within the same month,
Yep.
I got my
Yeah.
first high ticket.
Yeah. And guys, the biggest thing on like this is really true. The biggest thing is, and I hate this because for so long in the MLM, I need to preference this just a little bit. So much in the MLM world, I was told it's because you don't believe enough. That's why you're not hitting, $10,000 a month. No, it was the strategy. It was the strategy. It was the product. Is that people are now skeptical because of good, very good reasons at MLM. And there's like all the things. Like because I was like, no, I believe. Like I believe. I say
Yeah.
I believe because I believed that I could do it, but the strategy was a miss. So I don't like being fed that, oh, it's not working because you don't believe. Like
Yeah.
that's other people. Sometimes it's other people hiding behind a poor system and
Hmm.
throwing it off on. I see coaches do that all the time, especially very successful coaches. I'm not gonna, you know, banter on any person, but and it's because you don't believe. It's like, no, it's because you're not giving me a real strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's this
That's
balance
true.
there, right? But the whenever you're doing like just your own real authentic honest business, your belief in yourself and that you can do it is often that shift that you energetically portray, and then you reveal and you show people like why it is so important to invest in your health. And once you have that deep belief, understanding, and knowing,
Hmm.
that's what takes like kind of the biggest shift, and or
Yes.
makes the biggest shift, not takes it, but makes
Yeah.
the biggest shift. And you knew your value, you knew your worth, and you were like, you're right, like I don't have to have a doctorate or a master's or bachelor's in nursing or anything like that to change
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. It's been amazing. So I've done everything, passion of profit. You know, I think I'm about 50% in, and I've implemented probably just about everything that you've taught so far.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I've done the workshops and the challenges, and I just started doing those challenges probably the beginning of March,
Mhm.
end of February, beginning of March. And I've done 3 or 4 challenges, and I've ended up with 2 clients just right out of those challenges. So,
Mhm.
everything that I've implemented that you have taught me has worked
Yeah, no,
seamlessly.
it does. It works. The system works
Seamlessly.
as long as you work it. Yeah. And your first few
Yeah.
times it is a little bit harder and it's a little bit more, but the thing is we use leverage. So you you kind of reuse that information and those tactics. And it's kind of like once you have it built, you just have to kind of like hit a button to restart it. And sometimes that is like whenever you start,
Yeah.
because you haven't I don't think you've placed your entire course yet completely evergreen, but you
I have two
will.
workshops that
Yeah, because
are,
you're pretty close to where you can
yeah.
place it evergreen. Evergreen, guys, means that you can join Aaliyah and she is doing whatever it is she wants to do, but you're watching her recordings. And then you're going through her course and getting incredible results. And she doesn't have to like keep on, being live one-on-one. Because that's one of the biggest
Yeah.
things that I wanted in
That's
my
the
life
goal.
is I didn't want to have to always trade time for money. Because even
Yes.
as I don't care if you're a surgeon making a ton of money, um, you have to trade your time for
You have
money.
to be there.
Like as soon as you stop, the income
Yeah.
stops.
Yeah.
Right. And I didn't want that in my life. So that's why. So Aleiah, I'm just like, okay, we're gonna come back, y'all. Like there's gonna be a part two to this. I'm just gonna say that because you and I, we gotta have a
I'm
talk.
excited.
And I think we
Yes.
may even
This is my
record our
jam.
talk and just like be really, really free about everything. With I don't know, with like revelation, end times, medicine. I mean, just and I hope my account doesn't get shut down.
Well, that's a concern. It's a valid
It is
concern
a valid
because
concern.
during 2020 and COVID, I was
Mhm.
on fire and I stayed banned.
Yeah.
Stayed banned.
Isn't that sickening? Isn't that
So
sickening?
you just have, which I've not been banned in a while, so I really feel like it's not as hardcore as it
Hmm.
was during COVID.
Yeah, maybe not.
So
Yeah. I don't
still,
know.
yeah.
But we're gonna talk. We're gonna share the information. So it's gonna be coming out in the next, I don't know, I'm gonna say month, something like that. We haven't recorded it, so I don't have a clue yet. But Aaliyah, how can people
Mhm.
reach out to you if they're like, this is my girl? Like
Yeah.
I need to know more about her. Maybe you want to reach out to her as a provider. Maybe you want to reach out to her as a client. You're like, I have some things that I know I need worked out.
Yeah.
She's a part of our Institute for Functional Nurses, which means that she's also part of our provider group where, you know, if there's any like really hard cases, then we collaborate together and we have a team
Yeah.
of individuals and it's interdisciplinary. So we have a lot of different backgrounds, neurology, family,
Mhm.
coaching, just tons of different avenues there, or
Yeah.
not avenues. I'm sorry, teams. But also, Aaliyah really, she's been getting the results with people on her own. Like she's a rock star. It's not that she needs that by any means, but how do people reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm really active on Facebook, so you can find me on Facebook under Aleiah Kennedy. You can visit the website. The website is bewellcompany.org and it has all the socials on there, the Instagram, the Facebook. You can book a discovery call straight from the homepage right there. As soon as you go to bewellcompany.org, you can book a discovery call if you want a discovery call with me. I have label reading workshops. I have hormone health workshops, a few different workshops options. And I'm, like I said, I'm really active on Facebook and I give away a lot of free information. Honestly, if you just scroll down my Facebook, there's a lot of good resources there for you guys to check out.
And you're
And
hilarious.
I,
And she's
and I
really funny, guys. Like you should follow her just because I didn't follow up on that one post that you made about, oh, I don't know, this is like disclaimer, okay? Like maybe earmuffs you have kids around. Where you were talking about like the double triple D's. I don't even know what you have. And I'm like, mosquito, I have mosquito bites pretty much compared to
yeah,
this. I'm like, well then I'll just get out of here.
I'll just see my way out.
She's hilarious, y'all. She's
Yeah, yeah.
hilarious.
I hate when people ask for my, they're like, do you have Facebook? Like if I meet a new friend or something, they're like, do you have Facebook? And I'm like, I do, but it comes with a warning.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm also going to drop the links below for her label reading workshop that she has coming up. She has a challenge coming up that is like a lot of even our providers have gone through it and have had some really awesome aha moments. I mean, she shares a lot of really great information. I'm telling you, like
Thank you.
it has she's awesome sauce. And then I'm also going to drop her booking appointment. If you want to go ahead and like I need to get an appointment with this woman right now. We have something going on. I'll share it here and then I'll also drop it in the show notes so you can click on it. But bit.ly / be well BEWELL Aleah ALEIAH. And then her label workshop is bit.ly / 3XZUMD0, right? Capital
Yes,
D 0.
yes,
And you have to
yes,
make sure the bit.lys that they have the right upper and lower.
yes. Yep. You
So,
can visit that or just follow me on Facebook, and I share the links on Facebook as well. So if you follow
yep,
me on
and
Facebook, you'll find it. You'll
you
find
won't regret it. I promise you that much. Like she's a hoot and you're going to learn some things. And if you're in the medical field, you're going to humble yourself a little bit. So thank you so much for being on with us today, sister.
Yes. Thank
This has
you.
been a pleasure, and I will catch y'all later.
Bye.